Welcome to the first episode of Let Freedom Continue to Ring. We're going to do a little extra after the show today. This is probably the last time in a little while. We're going to have Tim, Bob, and Mike together until Mike's bachelor party. So we kind of want to talk a little sports, a little extra to the show. First topic we have, guys, NBA playoffs. What are we thinking?
I think we should start with the expert of the NBA.
He is the expert.
He is the expert of that. So, yeah, I think it's going to be Lakers going through the West, like I said on our show earlier. They just got too many players that, big names only mean so much. There's been plenty of super teams that have fallen apart, but players that have had playoff experience, guys like Danny Green, guys like Avery Bradley, who's been through the playoffs with the Celtics, Dwight Howard, who basically carried his team to the finals. He's had a tough couple of years lately, but he's had a big year this year. JaVale McGee played for the Warriors for 2 or 3 of their championships. And then obviously you have LeBron and Anthony Davis. And then Rajon Rondo also.
Still hanging around there, Rondo.
To me, people make a claim that, Denver is really good and they play great defense and Nikola Jokic is gonna, is a great player. I don't see that this year. Their time's gonna come, but it's not this year. Clippers have Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Lou Williams, Patrick Beverley. The list goes on for them too, but in my opinion, the Lakers have too much. If you're gonna, a team has to be, you're gonna put a team with LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and then a bunch of guys that have been there before against anybody. I don't like their odds. That's not to say I don't like LeBron. I don't like the Lakers. I think the Celtics are gonna make a run in the East, but at the end of the day, I think it's probably gonna be Lakers Bucks. I think Giannis is too good. He's got a lot of talent around him. He's got a really good starting five. Brooke Lopez, Wes Matthews, Eric Bledsoe, Chris Middleton, who's an all-star. I think they have too much. It's going to be Lakers, Bucks, and I think probably Lakers are going to take it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're kind of split here. We have our LeBron guys, and we have our not LeBron guys, and I think it's an important dynamic for this conversation. Is that NBA playoffs, when it comes down to it, seems to always be about LeBron James, and he gets a lot of flack.
Last year was a shame.
But last year was a shame he wasn't there. We missed him.
Yeah,
and
the ratings hurt.
And the ratings hurt. You want to see him lose. If you're a fan of him, you want to see him win. When he flops, it drives me crazy. He did that pretty recently in the game. and he barely touched the chin. He goes, it's like, give the guy the Academy Award. But God, he's such a dynamic player, and he is, whether people like it or not, he's a defining player of our generation. And
no doubt.
As far as I'm concerned, the West goes through LA because he's there, and they have a lot of great pieces too.
I do think though, if it is Clippers Lakers in that Western Conference final, no one's leaving. They're both at home technically. You're just flipping the colors.
Just a bunch of home games.
But the Clippers themselves have yet to really have the same team. They come in and out. You never know which night you're going to get the Clippers, what team you're going to get. And I think that is scary if you're the Lakers, because when they are all together, they blow teams out of the water. And when they have to sit and rest with the way their schedule happens to manage out, they had 3 games in a row last week. It's just
so it's funny. So they play tomorrow.
Yep.
They've played twice so far. They had to cancel the 3rd game because of in the wake of Kobe's death. But they played twice. The Clippers won both. So I still think the Lakers are going to take them.
Mm-hmm.
I just think there's just too much talent, and it just in the NBA is weird. I feel like in football and other sports, the team's going to win it. In the NBA, it's so defined by players and
Get the best players, you win.
like look at Golden State has had deep teams, but they've also had 4 All-Stars.
Yeah.
Now to me the league's a lot more balanced because there's no group of 3 or 4 guys this year, but at the end of the day, because of that, you're going to take the best 2, in my opinion, has the shot. And that's Anthony Davis and LeBron James. Like, I love Kemba and Tatum. I love the Celtics. I hope they go to the finals and they win. I just don't think it's going to happen this year. I think it will happen, but it's not going to happen this year. I think Paul George and Kawhi Leonard are great too, and they're probably deeper than the Lakers right now. But I just think that the Lakers have too much. I just think, especially after last night beating the Bucks, they just showed it.
I generally do cheer for LeBron when he's not playing the Celtics. Just because I'm the same age. We graduated high school the same year. I've been following his career the whole time. But now that he's wearing Lakers gear, I can't root for. I don't want him to win. I don't care who beats the Lakers. I don't want the Lakers to win. Now, do I still love individual players? Yes. But I'm a Celtics guy, and I don't want to see the Lakers.
I definitely don't want. Let me just preface that. I definitely don't want to see him win. I just think they're going to win.
Yeah, I think basketball too is that sort of interesting. It's one thing to play a team and beat them, and then 2 months you play a team and beat them. It's another thing to win a 7-game series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
And you have a lot of scores on the Lakers. You have a lot of scores on the Clippers too. But I think some teams build for the playoffs. It's just like baseball. You got to have the rotation. You got to have the pitchers who can give you the big game. I think both teams have guys who can give you that big game, who can get that 30 points, the double-double that takes you to the next level.
Right.
I just think that the Lakers have the edge. I think they have, like you said, a lot of experience on the team. They have LeBron James. You know, they put the big guy down low, get those boards, and you know I think they have a good shot. So, of course, I don't want the Lakers to win either. I like where our Celtics-Lakers rivalry is. I want the Celtics to always have the edge there, and I want us to win a championship 10 times over before them. But I think they're the team to beat in the West, and I think that the Celtics could be the team to take them down. I don't know.
I would love that. I think we're all Patriots fans here. I think the kind of what we like to think is, you know, find me someone who's going to beat Brady. Granted, it didn't work out this year, but usually I'll take Brady over anybody. At this point, in the last 10 years, I'll take LeBron over anybody. Granted, he hasn't beaten the Warriors. He lost 3 out of 4. But it's like the Warriors were an unfair advantage. And LeBron would have beaten a lot of people. And I don't like LeBron.
Yeah.
But that's just, he ran into a buzzsaw with the Warriors for that KD and Steph dynasty. He would have beaten a lot of other teams. It's like a lot of the teams that couldn't beat Jordan's Bulls. That's why Barkley has no rings. That's why Patrick Ewing doesn't have a ring. It's tough. I think this year LeBron's got such a loaded team, and he's getting older, but he doesn't have to do everything now.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So.
He's a role player more.
Yeah.
Now I got a question for you guys. I don't want to take this away from you,
No.
but did the Celtics create the super player, the dynamic that's happening in the NBA right now? Is it did we
Danny
create that?
Ainge. Danny Ainge created it.
Sure. So my question is, so the Celtics did the sort of the end of their careers. They all said, let's all go get a ring together. But it kind of worked out so much that you know they ended up on the Celtics together. Versus like, let's go buy everybody. But the Celtics sort of set the pace for like this is what an NBA championship team needs to look like.
Only thing I'll say about that is they didn't do it through free agency. They did. You're right. I think they did create that. They did it through trades, and then guys like LeBron and D Wade and Bosh, they're definitely talking. Players are talking to each other when they really shouldn't be.
Right.
But yeah, what do you guys think?
I think the one thing that we have to look at for the NBA over their whole history is this generation of players is the best that have dealt with the CBA and the Players Union Agreement. They're wheeling and dealing. And if they're going to be wheeling and dealing in the room with the NBA execs about the Players Association Agreement, they're going to be doing with the players. And there's nothing we can do. And as fans, it's frustrating and it's going to make us upset. But that's what they're going to do. I mean, they don't, in the end, don't really care.
So I think the Celtics didn't start it. I think the Heat started it because if you remember, the Rockets in the '90s, they went out and made trades like the Celtics did, but they had Olajuwon and they traded for Clyde Drexler, and then they got Charles Barkley, and Clyde Drexler retired, and then they ended up having Charles Barkley and Olajuwon, and they got Scottie Pippen. That didn't work out. And then if you look at the 03-04 Lakers, they had Kobe and Shaq. They only got Karl Malone and Gary Payton.
And that didn't work.
It didn't work. So it doesn't always work, but it's been happening before, and then the Celtics kind of followed the same trend and did the same thing. It worked out for them. But finally, you had a player like LeBron who was motivated to do it on his own, rather than a front office making the decision. It was a player making the decision. And now, I think it's just, you know, I mean, they're within the confines of the rules for the most part, but I think it's also abusive. It's like the players are tampering with each other, and it's almost, you know, the off season's almost as dramatic as the regular season.
Right, making deals behind the scenes to go play together.
Yeah, and I think that started with the Heat, not the Celtics.
I agree because, like I said, I think it started. The Celtics made the team, but they didn't do it the way other teams did.
Yeah.
With free agency. So.
And that's funny that you keep saying the word decision. Do you know the 10-year anniversary of the decision's coming up?
Is it?
Yeah, it must be this summer. Right?
This summer when LeBron.
That's one of those moments where you know where you were for it, right?
Yeah, that PR moment where you're like, I can't believe I tuned into ESPN to watch this stupid thing.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you this, but he doesn't get credit for it. I know LeBron was a lot younger then. A lot of the money went towards the Boys and Girls Club, which I think was a phenomenal thing.
Yeah.
As a program that I've supported, that I went through as a kid, coaching the Boys and Girls Club. I thought he should. It was a very cocky.
It was a
move.
self-serving move.
He could have made the donation
but it had some
without.
benefits to other
It had
people.
benefits
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
But he could have just made the donation.
He
Right?
could have. Yeah.
It didn't have he didn't have his finger on the pulse of what he meant to Cleveland.
Right.
I'm sure he knew in his heart that he meant a lot, but that was like such a slap in the face that basically it's like
You got to tell them before you make
yeah,
the
it's like
decision.
saying no to proposal on live TV.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, it shattered that fan base, and he was able to make it up to him. That's great. But
I mean, it's made for great social media because it started the wave of burning jerseys, which is the stupidest thing.
That
in
is also
sports.
the dumbest
Yeah.
thing
And I
ever.
remember a
Paid for it.
commercial, was it a commercial or a mocking commercial where they said traders don't leave legacies?
Yeah.
Mm.
That was a very
Yeah.
interesting thing there.
Yeah.
Tom Brady. What do we? I think we're getting to that deadline of the decision that
It's the 18th, isn't it?
Yeah.
is it the 18th? Yes. So we're not too far away from that. What do you guys think Tom is going to do? Or do you think Tom is kind of trolling us all right now? I don't know.
Let me start here because I'm representing Tom Brady right now. I don't think he's trolling. I think he deserves to have this free agency moment. I think he should go find what are the Titans going to offer me? What is San Francisco going to offer me? And are the Patriots going to live up to their word? He's taken a lot of pay cuts to play for the Patriots. He's left money on the table when he didn't have to make room for other guys to build a dynasty here. I think it's time they finally pay him. I think he's obviously well into the twilight of his career. He's got 2 years left. He wants to win a Super Bowl. It's the same thing when you talk about Ray Allen when he was kind of getting older. You know, Ray Allen is not Tom Brady.
Made the move was best for him, right?
But it made the move best for him. You know, I want to go win a championship now. Where can I do it? And that's the decision Tom Brady has to make. And the Titans have a lot of good pieces. The Niners won the Super Bowl just last year, and they might have just been a quarterback away.
Yeah.
Who
They
knows?
were.
So that's a tough situation. I personally think that I live in New England. I live in the Boston area. Everyone wants him back. I think the Patriots owe it to him. I think Tom Brady comes back to the Patriots.
I think he's also though doing a disservice to the other quarterbacks that are on the board because none of them can really make that move and finally find a position until Tom Brady signs. Once Tom Brady signs, all the positions fall. Like Bridgewater, who's a free agent, and you have
Dak.
Rivers, and Dak is still under contract, so he has to get the options. But like, there's 10 decent quarterbacks on the board. They're all free agents that can't have a home until Tom Brady signs.
Not against Bridgewater coming here if Brady leaves. Really not.
What's it
Yeah,
going to cost you though at that point? I mean, if I'm paying Teddy Bridgewater where I could have paid Tom Brady the same price, I'll be kind of annoyed.
I agree. What do you think, Tim?
I think he's coming back to New England as well. I think, you know, I remember right after the Super Bowl there was talk about Garoppolo to Brady, and then that was like squashed immediately. And now I'm hearing it again. I think, you know, and then the talk of always friends with Ray, we're going to play with Ray. Well, I don't think that's going to happen either. I think it's the best option for both teams. Like I said on the show earlier, I would root for the 49ers if Brady went to the 49ers, and I wouldn't be upset if Garoppolo came to the Patriots. So ultimately, I think it's going to end up with Brady on the Patriots. But you know, who knows? We've all been wrong before on stuff like that. So
Yeah, I think wherever he goes, I'll get the jersey.
Right?
Yeah,
that's
I
true.
think,
Yeah.
I think
No.
if he goes to the Titans, I'll have Titans jersey. If he goes to
Always.
the Niners, I'll have Niners.
I think we're always going to support him as a player.
No doubt.
No matter where he goes. I mean, I think Tom probably has about 2, maybe 3 seasons left in him.
Mhm.
And that third is a stretch. It is.
Yeah.
But I would support him wherever. Now, if it comes down to the Patriots and wherever Tom Brady goes in the Super Bowl, not saying that would happen, not saying it can, but that would be a little bit different. That'd be very weird.
it'd be weird. Hard to
Think
picture
about
for sure.
Right. I don't think they get there though without Tom Brady.
Well, if we
Even
get-
if you brought another quarterback, I just don't think the team itself is ready.
I think Garoppolo would be a project. It'd be like I think they'd get back in a couple of years, but it's not like you swap Brady for Garoppolo and now we're in the Super Bowl.
No.
I think the Niners would be in the Super Bowl. I don't think
Right.
the Patriots would be in the Super Bowl.
Is Jimmy G a fraud too? Like, is it a flash
I
in
don't
the pan?
think
Like,
so.
he had a great defense, but he was 6 for 8 for 77 yards in the
Yeah.
NFC Championship game and
He
choked
didn't-
away a
he
10-point
didn't-
lead.
He didn't really need to do anything in that championship game. Though.
That's what I'm saying. Is the defense is that good? Like, did
I-
Garoppolo get them to the Super Bowl, or did the defense finally?
Yeah, I think his reputation took a hit for sure.
Yeah.
But I think he's a good decision maker. I think he's a talented quarterback, and I think that was a tough game. And it's but when you're up against Patrick Mahomes, you're gonna look bad compared to Patrick Mahomes. So
I texted a friend of mine, my buddy Dan, same name. At one point during that Super Bowl, he's a big 49ers fan, saying like, "Hey, you got it."
yeah, because they were up for the whole game.
You texted our group
I
chat
had-
and we said the same thing.
I had
to
the,
you.
I had the Chiefs, and I was like, I'm about to lose money.
I you know, whatever. I mean, I had other friends that are
Yeah.
Chiefs fans that got their win, so I was excited for them.
Yeah.
But I might have cursed in that.
Big time. Like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I mean, sorry, back when they beat the Texans, they were down 24 points and scored and went up the
That
lead
was,
in
well,
3
we
minutes and
watched,
12
we watched
seconds.
that game together. We
was
couldn't believe
ridiculous.
what was happening in that game.
So 10 points is nothing. Like, so when
No.
they make it sound like it was this big comeback for the Chiefs, is 10 points to a team that is one of the most explosive teams
when
of
you
all
got
time.
Patrick Mahomes, you got a chance.
And they seemed down and out. I remember there was an interception they threw in the fourth quarter where I remember I was on the phone with my dad and I was like, no, we were just talking. It's like, oh, game's over. I'm about to lose money. And then all of a sudden they just come back and it's
So-
like,
They're picking on Sherman.
So part
Yes,
of
they
that
did.
too. Part of that too is you have a coach in San Francisco that's passed when he should have run before.
He's got a history.
it's not his first time.
He's
coming
got a
back
history of
and
some
muffing that.
mistakes, and he could have killed the clock. He could have ran the ball more. He could have done something, but he trusted Garoppolo, and I don't necessarily fully fault either one of them. I think it's probably a combination of the two because you call a pass and he makes the pass, and you're a hero. You call the pass and
he was the
throws an
Falcons.
interception.
Offensive coordinator.
Okay.
So,
Offensive
so
coordinator.
if what, like what you're saying, if he ends up making the right choices, they end up winning the game. Is anybody killing Jimmy Garoppolo now?
No way.
No,
No.
it's
No.
all forgotten.
No, and then but will people be killing Patrick Mahomes? Probably.
No. I also think Shanahan knew in that moment, running the ball and running the clock doesn't matter if the Chiefs can score in 35, 45 seconds. He needed points. He needed more points, and 10 points is not going to cut it.
Yeah. It's also something to consider is it's a quarterback league. So when the Titans beat the Patriots, Ryan Fitzpatrick was not super involved. It was mostly Derrick Henry running up and down the Tannehill. Sorry, it's Tannehill.
That's how unimportant he was.
Yeah, so, exactly. So he's running up and down the field. So and everyone's saying like, oh, yeah, he's better than Brady and the
Yeah.
quarterback. And it's like, did he do anything? I mean, not that I saw. So.
The Patriots rely on him.
Yeah, and the same thing with Tom Brady. It's like you lose the Eagles in the Super Bowl, but you throw for 500 yards, and everyone's got that gif of him dropping the Super Bowl trophy. And it's like, man, he threw for 500 yards and all these touchdowns, and
He
he
shredded
still
you guys.
takes the loss.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
what have you done?
But if he wins, it's
It's results driven. Honestly, the narrative would be so different
Yeah,
if it was the other way around.
and
And,
if-
it almost was the other way around.
exactly. And if he wins, it's like, oh, Vinatieri made those kicks, or
Yeah.
or Edelman, or the defense stepped up. It's never he never just gets to enjoy
If
it.
Vinatieri didn't make that kick in the first Super Bowl, I mean, who knows if Brady even has the job next
Yeah.
year?
But who made the drive to get him there?
Oh,
You know,
for
that-
sure,
you know, that's
for
the
sure.
thing
But that's just how
people
things
say,
go.
Oh, it came
Yeah.
down to a kick.
Yeah,
You had to drive down the field to put him in position
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah.
yeah,
Silly.
for sure.
And John Madden will never live that down.
I remember that.
Oh, I can't believe they're going
kneeling,
for this.
I should be kneeling for overtime right now.
Yeah.
What? This is man 21.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about the guy who said the team with the most points usually wins the game. So I
Yeah,
think there's a
that's
whole
fair.
lot of shame on the John Madden end. He's got a video game to.
That's fair.
Fun Madden fact. He did not like to fly. He literally took a bus or a car or whatever he took to every game that he called. He would not fly.
Hey, I mean, less likely to get Corona that way, I guess, right?
Well, yeah, that's true. So we're going to the game tomorrow. We got the DC Defenders taking on Bobby's St. Louis Battlehawks. I'm excited. I'm really excited to go. What are you guys thinking?
I think it's hard for anyone, even us, to try to talk XFL about these players. So I wrote stats down to try to figure it out. But even reading some of these stats, it's almost comical to even discuss it. Like the top wide receiver on the DC Defenders is DeAndre Tompkins, and he's got 1 TD for 85 yards and 7 receptions. So I'm hoping this is entertaining, and I'm hoping the quarterback plays better. These are 2 good quarterbacks. Clearly, Cardell Jones is a good quarterback at home, but he is not got a great passer rating. He's 62.7 is his rating. 4 TDs, 6 INTs, and 674 yards. Most of that's at home. I mean, he got shut out and blanked in New York. And then you got Jordan Ta'amu, who's got 5 TDs, 2
That's
INTs.
probably correct.
It's as close as I get
Yeah,
it.
no, it's good.
I had to YouTube it when I tried to do the video
It's gonna be
promo.
hard.
Wait, did you say Jones got blanked in New York?
Yeah, it was 27-0.
No, wasn't that Tampa?
Oh, you're right. I had it backwards. You're right. They blanked New York
Okay.
27-0.
Yeah.
They blanked New York 27-0. They got shut out.
As a
on
lifelong
time. Sorry.
Defenders fan, I just want to make sure that we're
I've
clear
been
that
there.
we beat the
I've
Guardians.
watched every single game.
Sorry, I
so-
have been a St. Louis Battlehawks fan since inception back in August of 2019, and I have not been able to follow all the DC Defenders stuff. So I'm sorry that I messed up.
We did
this one
beat
thing.
New York. We did beat somebody else, and I'm blanking on right now.
Tampa?
Oh, it's Seattle.
So we got 2 opponents that we both played, right? We both played New York and Seattle. We both played New York and Seattle at home, and we both won. So you blew out New York 27-0. We beat them 29-9 at home. We beat Seattle last week 23-16. In the first week, you beat Seattle 31-19. So
Who did the Battlehawks lose to?
they lost to the Houston.
Yeah, Houston's good.
They're the best team by far, and they have the best quarterback. And they lost 28-24. So they lost in the last 2 minutes in that money time, or whatever they call it.
Well, I'm going to tell you tomorrow what's going to happen. The defenders are going to run wild on the Battlehawks.
Mhm.
And the district defender is going to be going crazy.
Right.
Wherever, I think he's in 127 is what he said. So
Yeah.
we're going to be looking for him. But you've been very arrogant towards these teams.
Yes, it's.
And
I
I
might
want, you,
blow up my face.
I want you to know that you're coming into our house tomorrow. And the district is going to be defended.
I disagree.
I just want you to know that.
I believe the Battlehawks are coming in. Cuckoo-ca-cha is coming your way. But I think the most important point of the XFL, in this game particularly, is someone's fandom is on the line. And I think he really should discuss it. Is it coming down to this game, or are you still looking at other teams outside of DC and St. Louis?
That's a great question. I get this question a lot from a lot of people. Let's just say that. A lot of XFL fans have asked me this question. And I have had my eye on the Vipers. I have in the past. They got a great team, great look. They just look like just a great team. What I will say, and I'm talking to the XFL here, and I'm talking to the Defenders, I'm talking to the Battlehawks. You will see Defenders jersey, I should say shirt, and St. Louis hoodie. I don't have that. I don't even have a Patriots jersey right now. This is Tom Brady. This is the GOAT. My fandom's on the line, and I expect these teams to play their heart out. Because if they want this league to be around for a long time and have diehard fans, they got to start making it happen. And I want to see these two teams play their heart out. I want to see Hail Mary passes. I want to see incredible sacks. I want to see fast guys running down the field. You know what I mean? I just want to see a football game. So far, the games I've watched, a little sloppy. I would say that I've maybe enjoyed a couple college games a little bit more. But I think this is their chance. This is their chance. Not just for me. This is to win over a huge fan base that hasn't picked a team yet. So I challenge the Defenders and I challenge the Battlehawks to step up tomorrow, and we'll see how they do.
Do you think there's a quarterback issue in the league?
I think there's a quarterback issue in the NFL. I think there's a quarterback issue, around as far as you can see. I think you had there's a lot of great quarterbacks that are around right now. You do have your Mahomes. You got Garoppolo. A lot of great players. You can name them all. But back in the day, it's like you just felt like every team had a guy, and that was the guy who could take you to the next level. And I feel like there's a lot of teams who are just looking. They're just going through quarterbacks left and right until they get to that next step. Tom Brady's don't grow on trees. Peyton Manning's don't grow on trees. Pat Mahomes doesn't grow on trees. You got to do the research, and I think the XFL has an opportunity to find those guys, because there's some guys who maybe went undrafted. There's some guys who are maybe playing college now that aren't going to get a look at in the NFL. That the XFL has a chance to step up. So I do believe there's a quarterback problem. I do believe there's at some points a rate of play problem in the games I've watched. I think they've made a lot of, just like they did the first time around, they've made a lot of rule changes that I think have benefited the players. I love the kickoff.
Yes.
I think they're going to have to look at that at the end of the year and say, like, okay, did every team start at 30 on average, or where do we go? And the NFL maybe should adopt that. Maybe it can cut down on those concussions and those hard hits. And we love those as fans, but we don't love it when they're 35 and they can't walk. So I think it's something they consider next year in the NFL. But I think, going back to your original question, quarterback is an issue across the league. It's a tough position to play. You got to have not just the talent, but you got to have the mind, and you got to have the confidence for it. So I do think they have an issue, but I think it's not unique to the XFL.
And I'll say one thing outside of this conversation, and I don't have it in front of me, but I believe the last time I looked, it was 41.5. I would hammer the under in this one, especially in this game, because I'm just looking at these scores and looking at these teams. They both can score heavily, but they both tend to play pretty good defense, especially DC has been bad the last two games. Let's be serious. They were bad on the road,
Terrible.
but they have allowed 19 points total at home. And the Battlehawks have barely let up more than double digits. They've let double digits twice. So I'd hammer the under if I was betting this game.
What did the Defenders score last week? What was it?
They scored a donut, a big bagel.
All right.
That's not good.
All right.
You hate to see
They
it.
didn't do well the week before either, but
And I really hope all my videos don't blow my face because I have been hammering.
I think we
those
should
videos.
shoot another segment after the game.
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
We'll see.
really
I
just
like
deadpan on Bobby.
Gentlemen's
You
bet.
know, maybe
Yeah,
we
yeah.
should start doing is like we'll do the ups and downs during the game because if I get down big in the first half, well, I mean, you know, it might be entertaining to start seeing me get booed because clearly I'll be the only idiot wearing the blue.
I don't think you'll be the only person though. I think a lot of people did choose that team.
A lot of St. Louis Battlehawks
I'm
fans.
not gonna lie. When we stopped at a rest stop in Maryland earlier, I saw a hat and I go, "Oh, Battlehawk." That logo looks a lot like the Air Force.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of people really like the colors and they like the logo, and sometimes that's how fanhood is decided.
It's true.
So, no, it's gonna be a lot of fun tomorrow. I think Bobby is going to learn a lesson about running his mouth.
Right.
It's called humility, right? Is that what you're saying?
We're gonna see. Bring us to baseball. I want to spend just a little bit of time on this, and then we have a really good question for the end. The Astros. Worth talking about. What's everybody's take? Was their punishments really what need to be done? Did the commissioner handle it well? What do you guys think?
I think the players' union gets a pass, and it's really their fault how this punishment got handled. They wouldn't allow the commissioner to even start doing his research until he gave immunity. So the Players Association knew this was going on, so that means multiple teams across the whole league knew what was going on because players would be talking. So the commissioner's taking a big hit, and I think he did the right thing. He did the only thing he could do. I don't think stripping the title really is a good idea. It's a bad precedent to start doing.
Yeah, I
Um,
want to see that.
Do I have a gripe from an LA fan? Sure.
I'm a Yankee fan.
No, because if the Red Sox they get screwed in the first round, the Red Sox and Yankees would have been playing the LCS. If you go back and watch that, David Price and Sale get shellacked in Houston in that series, and they kind of made it close in game
Yeah.
two. But they ended up getting swept, but
I think at this point the Astros have said enough dumb things and not handled it terribly enough that it's got to own it.
Yeah.
They're going to get hit a lot, but they have so much talent. If they go out and win the World Series this year, that would be a big, FU to everybody else. And at this point, there's no turning back. Everybody hates them. We hate them as Red Sox fans, but of course we're not totally.
I don't hate the Astros. They're a bunch of nerds. Their fans are absolute nerds. I don't have any respect for
Just to follow up on that, the four of us went to Cooperstown in 2015 when Pedro was going into the Hall of Fame. The same time that Craig Biggio was going in the Hall of Fame,
Right.
and I believe Craig was the first Astro to make it.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, it got weird at a bar where Red Sox fans and Yankee fans were actually teaming up on the Astro fans. And we started chanting, "Let's go Red Sox" during a game. I think they were actually playing the Astros.
Yeah, we guys that series, by the way.
We started chanting, "Let's go Red Sox," and they started chanting, "BGO, BGO." And our friend Tim Hogan here started chanting, "Second ballot." And the Yankee fans and the Red Sox fans just dumping on the Astro fans.
Yeah.
And they got mad, they got upset, they started flicking us off, all that. However, about 10 minutes later, they walked up to Bobby, they apologized for even though we were mocking them. And I think Bobby made it clear, he goes, "Apologize like a real nerd." And they were, they're nerds. I just had to tell that story, because I think
It's a
that's a
good
wonderful
story.
story.
It's a
good
great
story.
story, and it's interesting that you mentioned the Hall of Fame because you have a guy like Altuve who is a great player. I'm not saying he's Hall of Fame worthy today,
Yeah.
but he has the skills and he was on his way there. Covers his jersey. Don't take my shirt off. And my wife wouldn't like it. I'm not buying that story. I don't think anyone's buying that story.
No.
Tim, they've said a lot of dumb stuff. I think we'd all agree with that. If the time comes where you start talking about Altuve and Bregman and this is years down the road, you say, wow, after all that, they put together a Hall of Fame career. You have to question it. You have to say, you know what, they
It is what it is.
cheated. And how long were they cheating for? And cheating in big games where it mattered. You know, Pete Rose is not allowed. And, you know, he was accused of a lot of things and said never bet against his own team. And he's out. Roger Clemens is out. Bonds is out. As right now, they still have
McGuire.
a chance, but McGuire's out. Palmeiro, he's another example of just telling horrible lies, horribly
he lied
thought.
to
Yeah, he
Congress.
lied to Congress.
So-
That's on another level.
Right, so, you know, when you look at they're putting you these great careers, you gotta say, man, this is gonna bite them for a long time.
Can I just want to touch on Pete. I'm a big Pete Rose fan because I love the history of baseball. However, because Pete Rose comes up a lot in situations when it comes to steroids and it comes to the Astros. Pete Rose, I read his book. I've studied up on it. Now he says I never bet against my own team. Really hard to know if he did or didn't. But
It's hard to have the honor system with Pete Rose.
But
Yeah.
when he was betting, it's not as much as he was a player. He was a manager of a team, and he was betting on baseball, and he knew that the Black Sox scandal happened. He knew the ultimate no-no was you don't gamble on baseball. I don't have sympathy for him. I love the player. Love it. I watch his highlights, but when people start to say, like, Pete Rose should, I think maybe I'd love to see him get in, but I think what he did, and this is just my opinion, was just so different from steroids or the Astros because he literally, as a manager of a baseball team, could make decisions that could impact the game. And when you're talking about 162 games, and I don't know when we went to 162, but baseball's always played a lot of games. You're telling me there was nights that Pete put in bets in that he
He knew
You're
his team
not-
wasn't 100%.
this
yeah.
isn't football.
Team's not 100% gonna get
You
a
are-
pitcher on the mound.
Yeah.
The opposite of
You
it.
100%.
But
Yeah, I
yeah,
don't know
'cause
what to think
not just
about,
that,
to be
'cause
honest.
if he didn't bet against his team, that means he did bet on games his team's played in.
Yes.
So he could have bet under 5 runs. Well, that means you don't want your team to perform a certain spot. So
And when you're the manager of the team, you could actually make decisions that could impact that. So, love Pete, we love you. You were a great player, but you really don't have a leg to stand on. And
No.
when
Yeah.
they went to review this and he said he still gambled, I said, all right.
and does he need it? Does he need the Hall of Fame? He is a WWE Hall of Famer.
That
I
is
mean-
true. I think people will be talking. Well, I think baseball is going to live on for a very long time. I think he'll be remembered, but not getting into the Hall of Fame could really. You may not have a legacy past your existence. People eventually may forget about him. I don't think so, but
When
I
people
could-
forget about people that are in the Hall of Fame, so
That's true.
yeah.
There's. I mean, we've walked through there. We all know
Yeah.
there's some names we don't
We
know.
follow baseball. There's plenty of
Yeah.
people I'm like, who is that?
Yeah.
What's an interesting dynamic is kind of when Pete Rose said I didn't bet on against my team. You have to take his word for it, right? So now look at a guy like David Ortiz, who's named in that report as someone who's a steroid user or a substance. We don't know if it was steroids. And a lot of people are knocking him for that. So his time's coming up where he's going to be on the ballot, and people are saying, well, he did steroids, I wouldn't vote for him. He's not a first ballot guy based on that, maybe. I think he does get in, especially now that Edgar's in. But David Ortiz's response to that was like, I didn't do it.
Yeah.
Prove I did.
Yeah.
And that's a private report that we'll never hear. So we gotta either believe him or not. It's kind of the same with Pete Rose.
For my opinion on steroids, though, is I blame the commissioner at the time, and I know we talked about this in our episode, Tim. Sealy turned a blind eye, and a lot of these, if you're looking at the hitters that were hitting all these home runs, and then you look at Roger Clemens, who probably had to be like, these guys are juicing. How is it fair that hitters can just juice? I just say it's a black eye, but let them all in. I think what Pete did was much worse than steroids.
It's tough
You're
too.
literally trying to control the game. If you're a
Yeah.
manager,
Yeah.
you're controlling the game. Yeah, 100%.
And
Yeah.
steroids was tough, but how great was baseball in the 90s?
It was the best time for baseball. Like
They
baseball.
should create an
so
XFL
boring.
of baseball.
They
They
should.
should everybody juice up and just hit
I mean,
100 home runs a year.
Yeah, I agree.
I'll never forget the summer of '98 when
Yeah,
it
me
was,
too.
It was Sosa and McGuire, and that was awesome. That
Yeah.
was a good time.
Or even when Bonds started going for 7-3, and we were all like, Ooh, his head's huge. This guy
Bonds.
is starting.
I feel like if Bonds didn't do what he did,
Bonds was a Hall of Famer before that.
I know.
I think he needs to be in.
He was a 30-30 guy year
Yeah.
after year.
If he wasn't such like a jerk to the media, I think he'd have a better chance. But he was so arrogant and
How
jerk.
crazy is that the media basically votes on it?
And that's ridiculous.
You know what I mean? That's insane. That the guys who have a microphone in your face and are all over
Right.
you and are writing terrible things about you
Yeah.
now hold your fate in the palm of their
Seems
hand.
like
You got, you got some like
Yeah.
Tony Maserati voting.
I mean, look
I
at
hate
look
that.
at the crap that Roger. I mean, if you ever seen the movie 61, which is pretty factually accurate. Look at the crap that Roger Maris had to go through
Yeah.
as he was breaking.
Someone threw a chair at him from the stands.
Yeah, you know, and that guy's not. I have to look at his numbers. He's not in the Hall of Fame, but the amount that he went through, because he was going after Babe Ruth's record and the way he was treated, tells you everything you need to know about the media in sports.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially in New York.
Well, that's the thing too. Mantle was right there with him
Yeah,
for
he
a long
was.
time.
So
Same
they-
stat, different story.
They let
Underrated movie, by the way.
Great movie.
Great
movie.
movie.
HBO,
Billy
check
Crystal.
it out.
Billy
Yeah.
Crystal, I believe, directed.
Yep.
All right, last thing. Do you guys want to do the GOAT of just overall athlete?
We're saying, yeah, of our lifetime, right?
Yeah.
The oldest here is 1984, so from 1984 through now,
Okay.
because that kind of narrows the window. A lot of these players before that or athletes before that we didn't see, so we're going by memory or YouTube videos or
Yeah.
statistics.
Just athletics. Just athletic ability.
I'd
That's
like
it.
to do athletic ability.
Okay.
That you've seen.
Okay.
I guess I can go first. I think the best athlete that I ever saw was Bo Jackson. If he didn't get injured, to be, and I know Deion Sanders did it too. And Deion was at he won championships in bowl. But I think Bo Jackson was the best athlete
Right.
that I had ever seen to go pro in football and baseball. He just got hurt. He did too
Right.
much. Looking back, maybe he should have picked just one. But as far as I think Tom Brady's the go to football.
Right.
But Bo Jackson was probably the greatest athlete that I ever saw play.
But if you look at Bo Jackson, who did it, and Deion Sanders, who did it, one was a cornerback
Yeah.
and covered up there. One was legitimately taking hits from the line, and that's what happened. He got tackled and popped his hip out, which ended his
I
career.
mean, he was just running over people.
Right. The fact that Deion Sanders, it's impressive that he did it, but Bo doing it and then going on Sunday and getting smashed in the 80s
Yeah.
is way more impressive.
Yeah. Mike?
Man, that's a hard question. I'm gonna take Tom Brady out of it. Just again wearing the shirt, and I have to go with MJ. And I he's just a guy who, the league was so competitive back then. Now it's not competitive now. I think there's a lot of better overall teams now, or players, I should say. But that was a tough league, and that was a league where people played defense, and that was a league where people had role players. Instead of everyone the shooter. So he just destroyed defenses, and he had some great teams that he played with. But I think he was just phenomenal at adjusting at the net. Phenomenal shooter. Took some time off. Decided I'm gonna go play baseball for a little bit. He wasn't a Hall of Fame baseball player or anything, but he was okay. And then he goes back to basketball, and he's right back at the top. He's still the best player
A
after
lot,
time.
a lot of people said that he was going to get called up to the White Sox.
Yeah.
I mean, that was what, 95?
He went back to the league in, 96?
Still, pro baseball is pro baseball.
I know.
Yeah, I mean,
But
That's
because
Is that a call up for your athletic ability?
Is it
or
for
that a
PR
call up
or
for
who
your
knows?
PR?
But
But
we're
if it's
talking
PR
about-
because he's
we're
good enough,
talking
then
about-
that's pretty
we're
legit.
talking about overall athlete.
Yeah.
So I mean, the fact that he can.
I'm not discrediting his baseball, by the way. Maybe that's the
He
wrong
can,
way to say it.
if you've ever seen a 30 for 30 on that, it's very interesting because he was like, they were going to call
he
him
was a good
up.
player. Yeah. He's
So
also a very marketable player.
I think that's.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
if you're just talking athletic ability, the fact that you were a pro basketball player, and you were pretty much being considered to play in the majors, that's got to be someone.
And not to mention the best player in the league,
Yeah.
and then just taking off and going to play baseball.
And even get a look at to play baseball.
Yeah, and let's not forget his amazing game against the Monstars, where
Yeah,
he dunked
that's
from
true.
about half court.
it stretches his arm out like 30 feet.
stretches his arm out
I don't
30
think
feet.
you'll ever see that again. in
You'll
sports.
never see that again.
By the way, though,
was
like
amazing. What a
that
performance.
baseball point you just made it, and I know we're leaving him out, so we don't sound like homers. Tom Brady got to go to the Expos.
Yeah,
True,
that's
true.
So-
So he could be there too.
He could be up there, yeah.
That's true.
Peyton Manning, not drafted.
I'm just saying, when you're winning ball games with Bill Murray at point guard,
Tasmanian Devil playing the three for you.
no, come
Yeah.
on, come on, we can't deny him.
Now, Tim, who would you?
I don't know. I have like 3 different versions of that. So I honestly, as far as maybe misunderstanding the question, but as far as athletic ability, as far as what I've followed, LeBron. I mean, the guy, he started playing. He played football as a freshman, and then he stopped playing football because he knew he was going number 1 in the NBA. But he could have played in the NFL. I mean, he could have been a Gronk type tight end, in my opinion.
I agree. Yeah.
I mean, who knows how that really goes? No one will. So it's, I can just throwing it out there. But I think LeBron, what he does, what he's been able to do, and he's 35 now. I mean, he was still
old.
throwing down dunks last night. I'm 30. I feel like I'm,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm an old man. But, and then also, pound for pound, you have to talk about Allen Iverson too.
Yeah.
He was one of the best basketball players of all time. I don't think he's 6 feet. But he was also a high school quarterback in Virginia Beach, and he could have gone D1 and been an incredible player there and probably gone to the NFL. And then the last one, who, jury's still out, but Kyler Murray. He went number 1 in football and baseball. It was number 1 in the Athletics, wasn't it, in baseball?
Yeah.
And then he went number 1 in the Cardinals. So who knows how he plays in the NFL, whether his career is really good or not. If he has a really good career, you could make a case for him too, because he was a number 1 draft pick in 2 sports.
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible. So.
Yeah, and so like I've been trying to, the way you word the question, like I always feel like I was gonna go to LeBron James, but then when you said athletic ability, I'm gonna go crazy on you guys. Michael Phelps. I would say
I know we think just about pro sports.
you always think pro
Yeah.
sports, but
Yeah.
that man literally captivated
Fish.
America
Yeah.
for what, 4 straight Olympics? And I right now, just because it really came to me as we were just doing the discussion, he has the most gold medals in Olympic history. And just what he would do, he was blowing people out of the water in every Olympic. And it goes all the way back to when he was in Greece, right? In 2006 when he first made up. He didn't,
04.
yeah, he didn't win a gold medal there, but he did pretty well. Then you just knew he was going to take off.
In Athens? I thought he did win.
I thought he didn't win his first gold medal until 08.
We'll have to check that. I'm honestly not sure.
Regardless,
I
we're
think
talking about
You're probably right.
We're talking about,
Yeah.
he was in 04, 08, 12, and then I don't think he did 16. Did he do 16? I don't know. It's hard to keep
I
up with
literally
these.
need to Wikipedia Michael Phelps after this because it's hazy. When you're not in the pro sports, you're not in our vision.
Right.
Yeah, I certainly remember Michael Phelps.
I just
don't
remember-
all of it.
I think you're right though. He was dominant.
Oh,
Right.
for
I just
sure.
remember that Olympic in 08 in Beijing, and I was up at school still for the summer. There was a summer vacation, and we all got together and just watched him win 8 gold medals. I'm like going, this guy is ridiculous. If you could have taught him how to dribble a basketball and things like that, I don't know if it would have worked out, but freak of nature. Absolute freak of
Yeah,
nature.
and if you're looking at Olympic
Aquaman.
sports too, you gotta think of like Simone Biles type. She's a Olympic gymnast, and she's head and shoulders above everyone else.
Dominates.
Yeah, in gymnastics, she's had several moves named after her because she
Right.
just comes up. She's so innovative.
Mm-hmm.
She's maybe not as in the limelight as some of the guys we've talked about,
Right.
but she's a phenomenal athlete.
I would say for her too, she's the best chance to become the best U.S. Olympic gymnast. I don't know all the gymnasts across the world, so I can't
I
argue
did-
that.
That's the thing.
I
is
did
when someone-
96. Carrie Strug, Andre I don't remember. Okay, maybe I didn't.
Right, but you get Simone Biles, right? And so she won the all around in
Dominique Dawes.
2016. She's the favorite to win 2020. The last American to win it was in 2012, which was Nastia Liukin, and she tried to make the comeback and couldn't do it to repeat. So if Simone Biles repeats as the all around at the Olympics this year,
It's the thing too is not only that she wins, because I mean obviously that's amazing, but if you look at the things she does, like I just don't know how a human being twists in the air and lands perfectly like that. Like my ACLs would be shut
Yeah.
the second I landed. So phenomenal athlete and world class, because a lot of people we're talking about played in American leagues where people around the world are welcome to play.
Yeah.
She's competing daily against people from all over the world, so she's a world class athlete, and Michael Phelps is up there too, sure.
For sure.
Yeah, no, a lot of good names mentioned. So that's gonna wrap it up for this first edition. From time to time we're gonna do this Let Freedom Continue to Ring segments. Especially want to do this because we're visiting Tim, and we won't see him for a little bit, for a little while.
Yep.
So, but anyways, continue to let freedom ring, and have a great rest of your day.